Morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you guys are out there in the world. This is Matt calling in, co-founder of Metafied. We're doing our Supercharged event today with Match Chain over here on November 6th at 9:33 a.m. I'm very lucky to be joined by Jacob over at Match Chain today. Jacob, you want to say hey?
Hey! How we doing? Wonderful wide world of humanity. Let's get into some nitty gritties of what's going on. Have some good discussions, and yeah, I'm Jacob here. I've been in doing growth marketing for Web3 companies for a couple of years now, helping products get to market, helping product market fit, and working with Mass Chain to just bring in some consumer level products and work with some amazing projects like Metafied that has uh, a stellar community focused product with really good UI. So always happy to jump on with you, Matt.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it, yo. I know before we got things started, we were talking about Bitcoin. We were talking about the
Yeah,
price, how different it is since the last time we played, what everyone's feelings are about it currently. You and I were saying, hey, we think it's a little manipulated right now. Just people pulling back on things, trying to, you know, bring down the price so all their other friends could come in and buy it at a low value. Just the classic, utilize the news, fear everybody out, get retail to dump, and then let institutions buy it up at a lower price and continue to concentrate the market.
yeah. I mean, I think it's easy in these Twitter bubbles to get wrapped into the short term fear cycle.
Mhm.
Um, and that's what they want to do, right? They want to like convince you it's going to go to 150K every time it goes to 120. They want to convince you it's going to go to 80 every time it goes to 100. And so that you sell out and you think you can get lower and then they don't let you get lower, right? So it's that weird thing, and the knife's always going to fall. You don't want to catch the knife, but but if you pick the knife on the table, once it's hit the table, then you win, right?
Exactly. I think I thought I was going to catch the knife, whether this was like a year and a half, maybe 2 years ago, where Bitcoin was maybe going to drop down to 12K and it only went to like 15K or 16K. I was sitting there with all my buy orders in at 12K, hoping it would drop, and it never did. So I'm always like regretful of the Bitcoin I didn't pick up during that time. I shouldn't
Right,
have been so greedy.
right. And then that's where simplicity. I think simplicity in how you deal with how you interact with these markets is always, especially for emotional sake, right? Like the more simple you can get, um, so that you just take out the stress of like this shit's going up, this shit's going down, it's going up, it's going down, it's going up, it's going down, right? Um, Always makes for a better life, and that's why DCAing is so good, right? Um, nice 3x.
That was a pretty good win right there.
What did I do? Let me see.
Let's see. I think I could share
I
it to
thought,
Twitter. Bam, just shared it to Twitter. Nice. The little inception moment about seeing us on
yeah,
there.
I went down. It was definitely not down. Let's supercharge this minute.
Yeah, these games are getting bigger. Like we're, 190 players, 167 USD,
Oh yeah,
172 USD, 353, all in 1 minute. That's getting pretty good for the pot size. Of course, that will continue to grow as we get more users. One day, these pots are going to be pretty crazy every minute. We'll see maybe like
I see it.
$10,000 shift in hands, getting everyone going over out there.
Oh, it's getting close to where I put it.
Oh, let's see.
Is it spike up? No, spike down. Spike up. Let's go. No, up, up and to the right. That's what we want. Oh, I lost.
Got a 2.74x right there. Not too bad. Doing decently. Man, the
I'm
10x pot now is at
$25 down.
$743. It's been growing each
Nice.
week. It's looking pretty good. Yeah, it seems that no matter what I've learned, if you just hold the assets and don't do anything, you're always better off than selling the assets. But don't get me wrong, if it's some type of like, new meme coin or, a newer project which hasn't already gone through its entire vesting cycle and a bunch of VCs are going to end up dumping it with the, early retail investors, then I wouldn't hold those. But things that have been tried and true and proven and it's going to be around for the next 10 years, like, hold that. Like always
Yeah,
think about the long-term strategy.
yeah, yeah, 100%.
Like
It's a great piece of advice, to be honest. I think a lot of people, there's a couple of traps in the logic of investing in a new token, right? And it's so easy for people to fall into it. Like one of the main traps is just that idea of like, okay, token has hit certain price, token is down, token can hit price again. No, not necessarily, because now there's twice the amount of there was that amount of circulating supply, but somebody sold, right? So now there's twice the amount of depth in the liquidity pool, so to speak, in terms of right at moment A, it may have taken 10K to hit a 2x. Now at moment B, it takes 20K to hit a 2x because of the now shift in liquidity pool. And I think it's not a clear metric for most retail users, and so yeah, so it's easy to get caught, right, in that trap of like thinking, oh, like it was at this price, it can hit this price again. It's like, no, so many more people were sold at that higher price. It's harder to hit that price now.
yeah, I agree with that. And then
When the tokenomics has been done wrong, or
it,
or they don't want to say wrong, but I would say wrong, right?
exactly, it's hit the point of no return. And any type of price action that goes on, the market makers who are like deeply invested are gonna, trim their positions and sell into that volume. So every time you try to give it a good start again, someone's just trimming down the trees and making money over there. And my second thing is always about the foundations too, because the foundations are usually selling, into the volume to maintain a good treasury so that they could be around for the next, 10, 20 years. And then a lot of the time too, they're investing that money into like things like, some products that give you a secure 10% yield out there. And then they're just making sure that they spend 5% of the treasury. And now they're forever growing. They don't have to do anything. And they just kind of have this token trap out there where if you enter your money, it just disappears out into the ether. There's too many of those tokens out there right now. But it's all good. You know what some of those tokens are, though? I'll even just mention it. The Polkadot parachain auctions, the tokens that were the what they call them, like not a subnet, but it was like a test chain, like the Kusamas. What else was there? There was Kusama. There was like Manta Network had one called I can't remember it. Calamari. There were like a few others out there that were all just test chains, yet they received money from the parachain auctions and they never had any real, mission to become a real chain. So they were able to just get money in a treasury and then never do anything. But
Yeah,
so whatever. It's just a different time in crypto. Good narrative though.
it is. It is a very interesting different time. I feel like stuff's matured, but not necessarily found its final resting place.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it's going to be interesting as an industry to see how we do push it towards a collective desired final resting place, right? Like I think there's like right now we have like a bunch of moats, right? We have DAOs with like a bunch of money that are just managing the treasury and all these different sort of players with their own agendas, right? And how do we collectively come together as a community to position and push forward a single narrative, which is what we need to be at the end of the day, right? Like as Bitcoiners, as cryptoers, right? Like we do need to be pushing forward a single narrative, and yet we're also evangelized into different, tech stacks or tokens or like wherever your bag is, and like um, I don't know. It's just that interesting feeling of like, have we lost that spirit of like crypto one for all for one crypto in this pursuit of like which token's actually going to be the one for all crypto? Like,
I think so. I mean, are any networks decentralized anymore? I think
right?
that's a good thing to
Like,
start off with.
ah, scheiße.
Yeah, I know. I don't. That's the problem. It's because none of this stuff works without core community and belief and trying to, help each other out in the ecosystem. And a lot of these projects launch, and they used to be decentralized because you had like, a core set of retail users who would go, stake tokens, and they would become like a validator, or they would lock these tokens up, and they'd be able to validate the transactions on the network. And you had enough of them, so you had like real decentralized validation. But now, because you can't get enough users to come in early, stake tokens, get into one of these ecosystems, you have these validation companies, who just end up running like all the validators for a network. And you might have 3 companies that are running all the validation. And now you pretty much have a centralized network, because if anything goes wrong, you just, call 3 validators and say, hey, we're shutting things down. Like, don't, approve the transactions.
Yeah. Which is the snake in the grass, right, of this whole thing now, of like now we've convinced ourselves that it's safe because we in the beginning it was safe, right? And now it's kind of not safe. It's completely controlled by big money, and there's also back doors, so to speak, like
Mm-hmm.
like you mentioned. And yeah, I don't know. It's just it's interesting. The It's shifted a bit, and now we need to go. What do we do with that?
Exactly. I think the number one thing for me that made me get completely out of the stock market and sell all my assets was the day that, Robinhood had paused the trading on GameStop. And I was so upset. I was like, how could you, change the rules of the game? I'd lost like a fair amount of money on it. I think my position should have
Yeah,
been good, but they paused everything and just stopped all the momentum. And I was like, how could they do this? I want to make sure I'm trading in an ecosystem where someone can never do that to me again. And the
yeah,
problem is that that doesn't exist now in a majority of crypto. It exists with things like BTC, but of course, when you're selling BTC, you're going to a centralized exchange majority of the time, and they're controlling your withdrawals and your deposits. Depending on what country you are, there's some ability to, off ramp or on ramp with different individuals, which is definitely, good. We don't have the same options in the US over here, which, hopefully we do down the line. But a centralized exchange becomes a centralized point of failure for something like BTC. And then, a majority of these other assets are all, I would say, fairly centralized, where if you were trading on them and, maybe you did something too large, the network didn't like it, they could halt all of trading. And now you can't get out of your position or swap that token into anything else. So they could basically pause the chain that you're on and stop you now. So I don't know if I think that's exactly the ethos of blockchain, if it's a path we want to continue down, but it's something we're going to have to solve soon.
yeah. I know what you're saying, and like, there's both sides to it, right? There's the I know why we did it, and it makes sense why we did it, which is to stop, like, North Korean
Of
black hat
course.
type uh, type consistent behavior. Um, but at the same time, yeah, at what cost, right?
Exactly.
Uh,
And
at what cost to the underlying infrastructure and you know freedom that it was supposed to provide? And I think like that's the other aspect of what we're looking at in the market of um, Bitcoin was supposed to be the U.S. dollar killer. Now it's the U.S. dollar savior intentionally, and but like most of the community is kind of like also okay with that somehow because they're like, well, if it's one bubble, it's all bubble for you know. One bubble for all AI, stock market, US dollar, and crypto. Like,
yeah, it's definitely a massive bubble.
yeah.
It's definitely a problem. Yeah, I think there'll never be another, decentralized asset again at this point. I think, Bitcoin was great because it had a start because no one was paying attention to it. And it was easy enough for anyone in the world could start mining it as long as they had a laptop. You just open up and start running. So you kind of had these, what I call like guardians or custodians of Bitcoin who were able to, get situated, gain enough value in the system, maintain that value, protect it the rest of their time until they're dead. And it was actually decentralized. And now every new asset, you're launching with some type of pre-mine or, large distribution of VCs, and then all the validations outsourced. And so now the entire network's controlled because people have this perception that there can be value there one day. So you might as go scoop it all up at a really early level. And it's like, how do we now have a future with new decentralized tokens being launched? I guess you could have fair launches out there right now, but you still have to trust like the validation of the network and that people are actually going to go, and operate one of these validators instead of just outsourcing it to a larger company.
Yeah. Everything's become too serviced and commoditized.
Yeah, it has. I mean, you see these guys, they're making money all the time. It's like you see as many validators out there and companies as you do market makers right now.
That's true. You see a lot of market makers out there as well.
Yeah. There's an unlimited amount of market makers who are willing to give you free
market maker. Yeah, market
free
maker used to
making.
mean market maker used to mean something.
Yeah, now it's just a mercenary group who's going to try to destroy your token price and take as much from your users as they can before they run off with the money.
Yeah. Thank you, private equity.
Yeah. You know what's actually interesting too? You're just talking about the AI bubble. The AI bubble does freak me out a little bit because there's just so many layers of like, circular investing, but like loaning out, lending. Like even right now, I think about the data centers or these like, centers where people are running a ton of like GPUs and CPUs. And then to continue to grow, they're loaning off of the value of those like GPUs and CPUs. Like they're putting it up as collateral to get out a loan and then continue to buy more GPUs and CPUs. And they're just doing that at a crazy rate right now. And of course, there's all this money going into, AI. So it's easy to free these things up and get more. But one day, like, it's probably going to be a lot less expensive. There won't be as long of a waiting list for all these GPUs and CPUs. They'll be more accessible. And then the value that they hold, I think, will go down. And then AI will lose interest. And then you kind of have this whole larger collapse. Will go from like, the main companies who are creating the GPUs and CPUs, then it'll go to the data centers, and then it'll hit like, the VCs who are investing in the different AI companies out there. There's a bunch of bullshit AI companies out there too. So all that's going to hit the fan. And Nvidia's, one of the biggest things on our stock market. So people will start to pull out of that, and it'll just create a larger collapse afterwards.
Yep. What is it? The Big Short?
Oh yeah.
Big Short 3.0. If COVID was 2.0.
I think we have some time for it too. Because what I learned about these types of, circular schemes that people run or investment, they're well aware of it, but they want to continue to run it up until they could get as much money out of it as possible. And everybody who knew,
and then they're gonna put all that money they made on the cells.
Oh, like exactly.
That's the issue with the system that we have, is that the people that can manipulate the system because they have the money are purely intent to manipulate the system. And that just messes it up even more. It's like it's not like we have a system that's being like, carefully tended by Zen gardeners, by like 10, smart Zen gardeners that are like, this is how the system should work, and it's going to work really well, and we're going to put it together. It's going to be amazing. Like, no, it's like 10 sharks that are just ripping at this dead, bloated blue whale carcass in the middle of the water, right? Just ripping pieces off as much as they can get before it sinks down the Atlantic.
Exactly. That's the whole thing. It's like smart people in financial institutions are able to realize the scheme. Maybe ignorance gets in that they think they could get out first, but they're like, hey, let's run this up as much as we can, get as much out of it. And then once we know we've thoroughly fucked up the system, let's pull out and bet against it. And start to hedge ourselves against these risks.
How we fucked up the market. Yeah, exactly.
Yes, we're hedging ourselves against risks that we created or we're well aware of. Exactly.
Oh man. You heard it here first, folks.
Yeah, but then there'll be a new scheme.
Or maybe you didn't.
Then there'll be a new scheme afterwards, but we'll see.
One scheme at a time, guys.
Yeah, I think the next scheme will be nuclear energy. Even though I think it's not like a scheme in general. I think nuclear energy is good. But it's something I
think so as well.
I've recognized they're going to pump a bunch of money into.
I've already seen the pre-programming come down through like the YouTube channels, and like it's already starting to be seeded on some of this stuff. So yeah. I don't know, it's interesting when you realize like how much the different organizations want to like push different narratives through social media now. So there's bot work, but there's also like content being pushed, different agendas, narratives being pushed. And it's interesting to kind of see that all pop up and then like have to like pattern recognition through it. Yeah. No specific point there. I just think it's like
yeah.
There's a lot of noise. There's a lot of noise, but basically if you can see through that noise of what they're pushing at you, you can kind of get like, okay, I see what you're trying to push. Like
yeah, I know what you're saying. I mean, and they push it in so many different ways. Like even electric cars are a way to disrupt like the current, gasoline fossil fuel ecosystem. And it's actually to create a need for nuclear energy. Because like electric cars right now as they exist, we don't have, a large enough infrastructure to support all these people having electric cars. There's not enough energy out there. It becomes too expensive. You've seen the Tesla stands, where people are charging their cars. They're always busy. You have people waiting around there for quite a lot of, time. And the reason is because, it's not practical right now to have everybody driving these cars with these batteries. The grid can't support it. But if you can create a large enough need where enough people have cars and then energy becomes a problem afterwards, they're going to end up solving the energy problem and try to push it towards a more abundant, cheaper resource, which eventually would be nuclear. So if you can disrupt like the current automotive system in the US by getting enough people to have these and then creating a new problem, then you're going to have the mind start to go solve that new problem so they can continue to issue out, electric cars.
Yeah.
And then the other problem, yeah. And then besides just like electric cars eventually disrupting, the automotive industry to push nuclear, we also have all this money that gets invested into AI, which, it's running the GPUs, the CPUs. It's, having the energy to actually go power up those data centers. And we talk about, this AI race with countries like China. We actually won't be able to compete in that AI race eventually because, yes, we might be able to move some data centers to middle America to get cheaper energy and resources, but eventually that won't compare to how cheap the resources are in China, where they're able to have multiple data centers run for a lot cheaper because, again, they maybe don't care as much about polluting or the types of resources they're using, but they could bring down the general cost of AI compute. Eventually, you could go outsource that to the rest of the world. Hey, like we have cheaper data centers, cheaper AI, like come to us. Why use something in the US? And then the US will eventually have to get competitive and figure out, okay, how can we make AI cheaper in the US? It's not by, getting cheaper GPUs or CPUs. It's going to be about energy. So how could we bring down energy costs in the US as much as we can to compete with someone like China in this AI race? And that's again when they'll look into nuclear energy and say, hey, like this is a real need here. So maybe 20 years, but it's definitely good to look into as time goes on. How you doing in the game so far?
Good. I'm just put 5 bets in around the. I think it's going to stay around this level. I think there's a lot of density around that level. Everyone else put their bets there as well. Oh, and we jump up. Nope.
Of course.
Let's see.
It's a little flatter today.
Oh, I lost.
Have you seen anything cool in crypto recently? Any new developments out there that you like? Or use cases?
I mean, I've just been really focused on the projects that we're working with, right? Match chain, specifically match chain and data curve, match chain and dial. Just trying to focus on some products that I think the Web3 space needs. And yeah, with dial, which is like a Web3 communications kit primitive for Web3, right? So now your wallet's your phone number type. But then we can also have like feature parity with Telegram, feature parity with with a comms channel, where you can put all your comms in to one place, have AI operators in there as well, and then also have Google Meets, video calling, and all that stuff, but built onto a Web3 primitive in terms of security. I think there's a lot of social proofing issues, right? When we're, like, let's say, for example, you get a random token that's been launched. If you can prove that you are the contract owner that launched that contract, you can associate through Dial your wallet address to the live stream that you're sending out, right? To prove that you are the dev, right? So instead of being in some random Telegram is like, oh, I'm the dev of this token, right? Like you can prove that you are the dev through Dial, so it creates more trust and transparency. And then also because it's like Web3 native, you can build like different dApps onto it. So we're gonna like create this like token launcher off of the live stream. So if you do the live stream similar to Pump.Fun, but you want it to be compatible with whatever the user wants to do with their token, right? Pump.Fun is just a Pump.Fun token. At the end of the day, that doesn't work for most of the industry. They can't stream, like Polkadot can't stream a Pump.Fun token, like they, right? Mm-hmm. So this sort of like toolkit for Web3 comms, I've been helping them with the go-to-market, and it's looking really interesting. Yeah, and similar to what you're doing here, right? We could do some of this stuff on Dial. It's just an evolving platform that's Web3 native.
I like that. I think that's a really good idea, and I 100% agree with that because there's, not every company could go on Pump.Fun and do something, but what you have on that platform is you have a bunch of users who already are funded with crypto, who want to invest in cryptocurrencies, and all you have to do is just go up on a live stream and be able to share with them. And even if a couple people click, hey, at least you're getting one-on-one marketing in crypto, which is definitely how this industry grows. It's a lot of like word of mouth. It's a lot of, direct marketing. You don't really, not a lot of people click on advertisements in the space. They want to know the founders and trust the product and see the community. And I think that's a great idea. Because even for me, I was thinking about, we have a $10,000 challenge coming up for tomorrow where we're going to have a $10,000 reward pool. And I want to be able to promote that challenge. So today I was thinking about, like, do I try out Pump Fun go on there and make a token that says, hey, call it, $10,000 or 10K FIDE contest. Everyone who buys the token on Pump Fun will seed you with $1 on the 10K challenge. And like maybe I go on Pump Fun live stream and see how many people could check that out. Maybe even if a few people swap in, hey, you're letting them know about it and come on here, buy this token or whatever. And it's not it's not the way Pump Fun was intended to be used, but it is a good way to kind of like get some of that marketing and funnel off those users.
Yeah, 100%. That's a great tactic. And that's that's the space that we're in right now. You got to be a little bit guerrilla about it, especially when the industry standard is, you give me a bunch of money and I promise you nothing. Like in terms of like marketing, KOLs, and influencers stuff, right? Like I don't know what my community will do. I'm going to make a post for you, but you give me a bunch of money for sure. Like, So I think these guerrilla tactics, like you mentioned, are perfect.
Yeah, you got to be able to get out there. I'm trying to figure out some viral content now. I've never wanted to be on social media because I hate doing anything, where people could see my face usually. But I'm like, now I'm willing to try anything. So it seems like that's what you got to do to get recognized now. You got to do whatever it takes.
Yeah, and I've never been a very very good at managing my social media profile. But I do like live streaming. I feel like I can excel at live stream. I should live stream more, I just don't. Um, I think it's a fun medium to, be able to show people your character, your persona, and then also like explore ideas and actually show vision and show direction, without, having to like, because right now all the content's so, look at this marketing post that was made by ChatGPT. It's like, how many times have we read this? I start to cringe so hard when I see if this, it's not this, it's that type logic in marketing. It's like, yeah, ChatGPT wrote that, didn't it? The old days of Mad Men, right? Like, let's sit in a room and drink whiskey for 3 hours until we think of that one idea that's going to be the idea for the ad board, right? Like that, that level of concentration is gone on some level.
I think that's the most effective method. I think all these like, sprints that everybody does, like, okay, that's great, but let's do a marathon. Like that's how you actually get it done. Like sprint, okay, like you're getting your attention for a short period of time. It's not fully thought out, but when you just lock yourself in a room for a couple of days with people and you said, hey, we're going to figure this out before we leave, like you're going to figure it out. And more work's going to get done in that period of time than a week of sprints. I promise that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, we did that for our company when we were designing out these games. We went down to Charleston and stayed at a hotel. And then I was looking around in the lobby and I saw this bookcase that looked kind of out of place. And I decided to like go grab a few books, and it opened up and there's like old speakeasy back there that the hotel used to have but doesn't use anymore. And so we decided just to lock ourselves in this like bookcase speakeasy for a couple of days and like put a bunch of post-it, notepads all over the walls, looking like a psychopath solving some type of crime out there, and just connecting all the dots together like that Sunny that what's that show from Philadelphia called? It's always sunny in Philadelphia. Yeah, just like when he's connecting all the dots. Like we were doing that in this room, and we were able to design this entire game and then bring it to life. But I don't think all that work would have got done over, a Zoom call sprint. But
yeah,
it's all good.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
The lives. What were you gonna say? Sorry.
No, go for it.
I was gonna say the live streaming too is something that's pretty interesting to me, and something I'm understanding more as time goes on. Because in the beginning, I was a little skeptical, being like, who would watch people stream for, 2 hours out of the day playing some video game? And it's a little, maybe sad the reason why I think people are doing it. It's because I think, technology's become so accessible that you don't really have to go outside of your house anymore to go hang out with your friends and like have these experiences. Like you could just sit at your computer and have all these experiences delivered to you right at home. And people have gotten really used to doing that, so they've kind of accidentally isolated themselves by being home now so much and not being with friends and seeking that real connection. And but people are now at home and they still really want that, real life in person connection. And when someone's live streaming, it's almost better than just watching them on a normal screen because hey, like I'm experiencing this energy right now and it's live and I'm with this person. And that's what makes it so much more exciting. You're like, okay, it's not pre-recorded, like everything is unknown. It's happening right now. I don't know what's going to happen next, and we're experiencing this moment together. So it's a way to connect people on the internet in a way they haven't before. It's definitely a big bonus out there right now. But people should get outside, go touch some grass, go have some fun with your friends, call them up. It's important to have community and rely on each other in some type of way. Even play Five together. If you want to do something fun with your friends, like get them all in a room, go out to a bar together, bring out your phone, play some Fide, have some friendly competition, play for some drinks. Just do something than staying on your computer at home. Promise you'll feel a lot better. Looks like we lost Jacob for a second. Oh, there you are. No worries, man. I was just wrapping up my spiel on live streaming and how it's better because you could experience the moment live with someone versus like something pre-recorded. You actually more feel like, hey, I'm having a relationship with this person than watching them through a screen.
It's an interesting thing. It's also the aspect of like uh, the fact that it's live, like it's in the moment.
Well, might have lost you for a sec. It's energy on demand. That's what it is. Let's see my positions. Things are going good today for me. I'm only down $2.43. Not too bad. 9 wins, 20 losses, 29 games played. If I just played a little bit smarter and didn't put in as many positions, I think I'd do pretty good. It looks like I could come back with just one position. All I need is one good return and I could get $20. There we go. That's what I'm talking about. See, this is exactly what I was talking about here. I said all I need is one to return everything. That's a 16x right there. Oh, tried to share to Twitter. Just missed it. But if you guys do want to share things onto Twitter, bam, look at that. $87.58. Right as I was talking about it, things decided to shift. If you do want to share things on Twitter but you missed the card, you can always click this button down here in the right corner. It shows you the candlestick view. You go all the way up to 16 candles. Let's take our last session by clicking on the candle. That beautiful 16x right there, making $90. Gorgeous. Share that onto Twitter like this. Bam. Oh, I guess it logged me out. Whatever. That's all good. I'm not going to go through the logging in on the screen so you guys can steal my account and pretend to be me. I know you might want to pretend to be me, but that's okay. Maybe we should do it another day. Can we share it to something else real quick? Let's see. Put in my notes app. Copy the image. I could share it on Telegram. Let's see. Who would this even share with on Telegram? Oh, it brings it up on the side so you can't even see it. Whatever. Don't worry. I'm just going to share this with my mom, my dad. all my neighbors. Let them know I'm the best FIDE player around. Perfect. Let's get back into this game. All right, let's throw down some positions again. We're back in it. Look at this. We lost 20 times. We won 10 times, but we're up almost $90. What other place can you go lose 20 times and still be up $90? It's pretty good. $198 players, 697 positions. Things are heating up. Looks like everyone's getting excited for our big game coming up tomorrow, where there's going to be a 10K prize pool. So everybody, please get in and play tomorrow for the 10K prize pool. Jacob's having a few internet issues, which is all good. You know, that seems to be the case. Just like the McDonald's ice cream machine, every time you want to use it, doesn't work properly. You get disappointed. No ice cream. But it's okay. Technology likes to be fun that way. And it's always too, when you have an issue with technology, like it doesn't happen for anyone else. It'll just be you. And then you seem crazy when you're telling everyone, oh man, this isn't working. For me, the last few days, I've had Slack. Terrible application. You know, really confusing. I think it's as confusing as Discord with the amount of channels that you can make in it. But the other day I had Slack glitching out for me on the laptop, glitching out for me on the phone. Nobody else has any issues.
And I'm back.
Jacob's back. Good to see you, man.
You too, dude. Yeah, I don't know. Internet was being weird. One thing that I can announce is that we're going to be launching AccuTrade, so the native DEX for Match Chain, and looking to get some projects launching on there.
They'll be pretty good. So on AccuTrade, is the main gas
It'll
token
be
still?
No. BNB is the gas token,
Yeah.
but AccuTrade will be the DEX, and then there'll be some liquidity provision pools. So people that already have MAT, people that have the token or stake MAT can go earn boosted yield. Yeah. If
Nice.
you're already tapped into the match chain ecosystem, you can tap in deeper now in the coming weeks. A little bit alpha.
That's awesome.
We'll release it soon.
That is awesome. It seems that DEXs are the way of the future again, even though it's how we started in this thing. And then eventually everyone went to, oh, you need to be on a centralized exchange, to now everyone's saying, oh, DEXs are probably the way to launch and the best way to do this all over again. It seems like the exchanges were just getting too expensive, where enough projects aren't getting listed anymore. You know, as soon as the project lists, the exchange is dumping against them. So everyone's just saying, hey, like, why don't you just do real crypto and go launch on a DEX and have people determine the value of your product and make sure you provide some liquidity yourself.
Yeah, no, exactly. And then the other thing is, like, people expect coming into a centralized exchange that it's going to, help them in some way, right? It's like if your users aren't like trying to already go buy on that exchange, then there's nothing that's going to help. And that's good co-marketing, good campaigns can do good co-marketing with exchanges, but it's more like, you want to be able to identify that target user base, kind of irrespective of where they're going to go buy their token, before you go launch, right? And then make sure that you have that smoothest path that they can go purchase the product.
I agree. Doesn't even seem like exchanges market anymore for like 1 day launches. I remember in 2020, you'd go through your feed, you would see like all these different exchanges. It'd be like KuCoin, blank token's gonna launch in 1 week. You'd see all the banners. Oh, we're doing some type of airdrop. We're giving it out. Retweet about this token. And you would see a lot of that. And now things are just silent. If an exchange is going to launch a token, you might see it that day. A 1 hour blank tokens trading, or they won't even make an announcement. It just seems that they don't really put in their part anymore to go bring in new users.
Yeah.
If no one's bringing in new users, it's like, how do we expect new people to come in? Like, of course you could go and grow a project, but you guys as an exchange are supposed to make it more accessible to be able to bring in new users and lower the barrier of entry.
Yeah.
So if I'm bringing in all the users and you guys are supposed to make it easier to bring in new users and lower the barrier of entry, but no new users are coming, then why am I paying you as an exchange
100%.
for you to just make money off of me?
Yeah. Well, that's the old moat. That's why it's beneficial to launch on a DEX. You just have to know the channels, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it depends on the token, right? It's like if you're very retail focused, it makes more sense to be, focused on Coinbase, right? Or a Revolut even type deal. But if you're, a banana bot, then you got to go DEX, right?
Mm-hmm.
For sure. Yeah. Looks like that played out kind of exactly how I thought it would. We peaked out and then we're dipping now down into liquidity. I can't exactly show my screen here, but there's a bunch of liquidity that can be taken out in the 101,600 range that will probably still dip into from this move. I'm gonna take this all off the table before we move up any higher. That's how I've learned to see the market, right? It's like, cool, everyone's put down their bets. Now the market maker gets to move the price to that level so they can take your money. And then that's when you open a position. It's like who's the last to lose is the first to win.
Exactly. And you gotta expect the traders, like the retail, to not be as experienced or like as educated and a little greedy sometimes, that every time they see the price, for example, as soon as it drops below 100 and they start to see it rebound fast, they're like, oh man, it's never going to hit this price again. Like, even though I just got closed out of my position, let me just long Bitcoin again with a little ridiculous amount of leverage at 99. And now this will be, my entry point, and next thing I know, the price will be up to 120 again, so everything will be fine. And they don't really cover their positions, and then the market makers are like, oh man, like these guys, we just brought down the price, they just took out a bunch of ridiculous positions again at 99. Let's beat them down one more time and then go bring the price back up. It's like you have to have a little bit of patience.
And also you have to recognize how the system works. Like, the price got to that price. You didn't think it could ever get to that price, but it had to go to that level to take all of the stops out, right? Mm-hmm. So it had to go down to that level, and now it's sitting at that level, and everybody's like, well, it couldn't have gotten to this level, so let's all load up on the buys. And everybody loads up on a bunch of buys, leverage longs, and of course that puts another chunk of money right below that level for the market makers to go take. So of course it goes down another level, right? And then it's just the question of like, when everybody gives up and everybody's like, actually, I'm all out of fuck. I can't keep buying the dip. Then the market makers shoot, it's back up 2 or 3%. And so it's like, it's really just like, waiting to not blow your load too quickly. Yeah, and if you do that correctly, you can rinse and repeat, and the market makers are just going to pump your bags continuously.
Exactly.
But hey, I'm speaking from a perspective of I've seen it happen and somehow I always miss it. Like I always see it happen and somehow I always miss it. And I know it's happening exactly as it's happening, and somehow I'm not capitalizing on it as much as I should be.
That's why the best way to invest again is just holding the asset and then taking your new money, which you would put into the system, keeping it off on the side as dry powder, waiting for the rainiest day of all rainy days, and then throwing it in.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, and just holding it's DCA and DCO, right? Maybe that's we DCA a lot, but do we DCO, right? And I think that's the hardest thing is when you see these big percentage potentials. You're like, yeah, but like, why would I sell now if I know in a year it's going to be, potentially 2x? And it's like, well, because you could sell now and buy back in at a 50% discount.
Exactly.
But you don't because you lagged. God damn it. As is the plot. The plot thickens.
It does. Today my co-founder was telling us a story about how he got his father-in-law 1.5 Bitcoins now over a time, because in like 2011 or 2012 he was like, you need to get Bitcoin, it's gonna be the best thing ever, blah blah blah. And he decided at those times just to give out Bitcoin to people. He's like, oh, you just need to have one of these Bitcoins, like, here you go. And it was just send him around. And of course, like, his father-in-law doesn't think much about Bitcoin, doesn't sell it, doesn't do anything of it. And he's like, oh man, I'm holding 1.5 Bitcoins. Thanks for sending me those years ago. So sometimes just sitting on money and not knowing you have it is the best outcome.
Hell yeah.
What do you think the next thing will be? Like,
what sense?
Like, because there's always these opportunities amongst, like, maybe it's 3 generations every time where there's a really good opportunity to make money. Like the first time the stock market came around, the first time crypto came around, like for our kids or the next generation, like what is it going to be? Is it going to be like, like there's a whole video game world, and if you can,
I think there's something to be said about AI and robotics, right? Like the Internet of Things was such a big theory, but it never really hit. Maybe the robotics is that same thing. Like even like I mean, I have a Quest and I want to get a Quest 3, right? Oculus like helped bring VR into a consumer like facing like cheap enough that they can all have one that's good enough. So that wave is still like happening and is interesting, but do we all want to be plugged into the Matrix? Do we all want to be in the real world, right? So it's like could be an interesting tool upgrade. I have a friend that's used they have a Quest 3. They run a virtual private server. So they have Linux running on a virtual private server connected to their Quest 3 that has their whole computer. So they can basically use their computer anywhere they have Wi-Fi through their Quest 3, and they're just like tapping things and going like that anywhere. And then you can sync the Wi-Fi off of like a mobile hotspot from your phone, and then you basically have like a pretty jacked computer anywhere you go, and just through your head. So there's like tons of different I think adjustments in how we think about some of this stuff, and it's really going to be dependent on, because there's already large financial technological forces in play. It's going to be a little bit dependent on what they want to give us, and then also a little bit dependent on what we want to innovate and create for ourselves, right? And I think that will kind of determine, the path that we choose as a society. Do we want to go for, you've always been getting the iPhone, right? Like you've been getting the iPhone. You're going to get the iPhone 2025, right? But do you want to go build something different than the iPhone, right? And that's kind of a collective decision that then needs to be had and discussed, right? Like, you know what I mean?
I know what you mean.
But I think the next trend, definitely in the robotics, and maybe a shift in how we think about, I don't know, maybe a shift in how we think about personal home computers and computing in general. Like, it would be cool if I could have for my house a home base GPU, CPU processing unit that's connected to a server, but that's secured. And that deals with all the processing power for all the screens in my house. And it just like, sends it, right? And then I can tap into that processing power when I'm out and about, right? But generally, they don't want that sovereignty. So they'd rather you have it all in the cloud where you don't own any of that hardware and software. You don't have any of that security and control and autonomy and sovereignty over your ability to manipulate your personal AI and how it interacts with maybe all the other AIs, right? Like, so the question is like, do we let them decide for us or do we create a system where we decide for ourselves? And that's always going to be the harder option, but it'd be the option I'd want to choose.
See what you're saying too. And then you probably have a marketplace to sell like privately built AIs and systems out there that no one else has access to, which have figured out other things or could have other abilities, which would be pretty sweet.
Yeah. And also just like the idea that you have a home base AI that's aware of all your data, can act on your data for you, can make your life easier, but it's not, I don't know. I think everyone would want that security of knowing that that's not part of some cloud. It's actually like in your home base. Like the data is only on your hard drive. It only needs to be operated on your hard drive. It's edge-based computing, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I've been thinking about building something like that.
That would be nice. I've heard a few systems like that, but only multi-millionaires and like billionaires have their own systems right now. It's just not accessible.
Yeah, exactly. Let me get there and then I'll build it.
Yeah. I want something like
Let's
that.
get there and we'll build it for everybody. You know what I mean? That's my vibe.
I want something like that because I know, even in my room or like around the house, I would love those Philips Hue lights, the ones that you can like hue in with all the different lighting tones towards like, you could do it with your TV, the music. You could have them so even when you walk out into your garden, they go off with all these different colors. And something like that to me is pretty sweet, but I don't want to hook up, all the different microphones and everything to like an open network and then, just give myself the perfect spy setting.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. It looks like we came to a close on this game over here.
Yeah. I also do have to jump right now for another call.
All good. To me as well.
Sharing this live stream, Matt. And yeah, excited to do another one in the future soon.
Thank you. Just to let everyone know too before we go, the 1 day pot is currently up at 1.28K. So if you could win the 1 day pot right now, you have a chance of gathering some rewards from a 1.2K pot. Looking pretty juicy out there right now. Looks like if I'm right, I could turn $20 into $400. So we'll see how it goes.
Nice.
But thanks, Jacob.
On
throw one in there.
Yeah.
See if you could win. Throw one in tomorrow too. Tomorrow's gonna be $10,000.
Nice. Let's do it. We can we can chat more.
All right, awesome, Jacob. Always appreciate talking with you. Always some really good points over there. I appreciate you taking the hour out of your day to do this. I gotta come see you in person now one of these days. We gotta do something fun, have a drink or something like that to celebrate. But thanks, man. If you want to say anything before you go out, feel free to.
I just want to say, in these times right now, they're going to try and divide us. Just don't let them divide us,
1,000% agree, man.
Stay connected.
Community. We got to do it together.